Yeah. Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a sixth sense for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame. Cause I break the chains, can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys. Cause I break the chains, they try to hold me. I'ma push back, just wait and you'll see.
You guys asked for us to show how to go in and clean up this engine bay and make it look nice, and that's what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. This is not a 15-minute 4-bolt process. It's something that's going to take us a little time to get done. Today, what we're going to concentrate on is cleaning everything up and seeing what we got, and we're going to take the battery out because whoever put the battery in, they put it in wrong. I was not going to talk about this, but I just came out off camera, decided it was a good idea to bring it up. Always put ideal clamps on your fuel lines coming into the carburetor where your rubber lines come in. Never leave that open like these were. That was how we got the car, so that's how it was. One other thing I wanted to talk about is the intake manifold. I'm going to talk to the owner about replacing that intake because it is probably the most jacked up intake on the top of the flange that I have ever seen, period. That's saying something. I've seen a few of these. I've seen a few of them jacked up. I've never seen one that bad on the inside. We theorized that this car probably at one point had an EFI system on it. And they did something by like maybe putting a 2-barrel EFI, a 2-port EFI on it. We don't know. But that is not good because of what it's doing to the carburetor. They did some welding. They did all kind of crazy stuff. It's going away. So we will cover this up and leave the intake on there. We're not going to clean this intake up like we normally would.
All right, so we are going to go through detailing the engine today. We've already got our plastic set up on the fender wells just to protect the paint. This car paint isn't exactly perfect, but it's very good practice. So we have got the carburetor off. I'm going to pull the distributor off. I've gone through and marked all of my wires with their cylinder numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull the cap off of it. We're not going to pull the actual base out because there's no need. We're just going to wrap it in a bag. So I'm going to get the connector off. All right, and then GM HEI has 4 spring-loaded little hold downs. All right, now that's off. Take that one last wire. All of my spark plug wires are already off, and I can hand the octopus to Jeff.
Medusa.
All right, now that that is out of the way, I'm going to work on covering up the carburetor flange. And the way I like to do this is with good old duct tape and a hammer. So use some duct tape. Go ahead and line the whole top face with it. And this method is obviously much easier if your carburetor doesn't have studs. So personally, I'd go ahead and just take them out if you're doing this, because this is way easier than covering it up any other way that I've seen. What you want to do is just go and work all your edges down by hand. And go ahead and get the outline of the flange just with your hand. All right. Once you have that, you're going to take a little body hammer, not a big one. You're not trying to dent the manifold, just trying to hit the tape. You're going to go along the edge. Once you do that, it peels away perfectly cut. So just go through and do this all along the carburetor flange, and you'll have a perfect cutout.
All right, now what I'm going to talk about is Cam's got the distributor dismantled. We put a plastic gallon bag on it, and I have a big clamp that I'll use for this kind of stuff. It's a stainless clamp, so it's not going to hurt it. If you don't have any big clamps like that, you can just use a zip tie around the base. I will say that if you make this too tight, it's going to be a real pain in the butt to cut it off. So you might want to make sure you leave it a little loose so that you can get a cutter on there to take them off with. Next thing up is basically going to be throwing some degreaser in here to see what we've got. But one thing I will say is plug everything up. Don't leave anything loose in the engine bay like bolts, nuts, washers, anything like that that can fly around. We're going to be first off hitting it with a water hose and then coming back in some areas and doing pressure washing. I do not recommend pressure washing on big, high exposed areas like this if you don't know what the paint is like on these cars, because a nick can cause you a problem. If there's a nick in the paint like one I've got right over here, and I hit that with a pressure washer, I have seen whole sheets of paint come up from those instances. So we're going to go ahead and plug up the fuel lines, make sure that they've got caps on them, and then look around and make sure everything else is capped off so that we don't get any water inside of the engine except where it's, supposed to be. And then we're going to go ahead and start cleaning this thing up. All right, I've got some Super Clean here. It's not a product that I'm actually just married to. It looks like it might work, and I'm one of those kind of guys that I'll try anything to make it run. So this is a heavy-duty degreaser, and it supposedly dissolves grease super easy, super fast. We'll see about that. So I'm just going to do a general liberal spray out on this in the engine bay. We're going to hit pretty much everything that we can get to try to see if we can reduce the greasiness in this engine. One place, that's some really good stuff. One place that these things are really bad about getting grease and deposits is down on the strut braces, the actual braces for the strut system itself. Those will see a lot of grease and dirt and road grime. So we'll probably go after areas like that with our pressure washer that we're borrowing from my friend Pat. And have for like 8 months. It's Logan's fault because he can't find a gas cap. Just letting that out there for people. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and continue to spray this out and try to get this thing to clean up a little bit. I am going to back off some because this stuff is pretty bad. I should even be wearing a mask. But, I'm not, so I'm going to try to stay a little bit away from things like my alternator and things like that, not try to spray it so much. Shock towers, back firewall. Now this too is why I have everything covered up, because I'm not sure what kind of paint condition we've got here, and I want to make sure that this stuff stays nice. But you can tell there's quite a bit of dirty dirt in here because when you spray it out, it kind of turns brown. All right, should be good enough for right now. I think I'm killing one of my crew members. The wind went that way and it got him. All right, so we're doing the scrub out. Now what we typically do is I will have these brushes like this you can get at local, hardware stores or whatever, or at Walmart. They are fine, really fine for doing some of this kind of stuff. This is a specialty brush that I bought at the auto parts store that's kind of worn out, so it's perfect for this kind of work here. And then just a regular old toothbrush. And what I'm doing is we've sprayed everything down, so now we're going in and just kind of brushing with the toothbrushes and these other brushes just to see what we've got. I'm going to hit it one more time with the Super Clean, another fresh coat of it, and then I'm going to wash all that out with a water hose. I'll say this is a good idea to have one of these to wear because this stuff is very caustic, and if it gets in your eye or on your skin, it can probably burn you. I also like wearing the blue gloves like this when I'm working because they are nice for, again, keeping your skin from getting damaged. So I'm going to let Cam continue to use this tiny little toothbrush for a minute or two just because I like watching him work. All right, so we have our first clean. This is actually starting to look pretty good. I didn't put my face mask on. I don't know why, because I have it on my head. Most likely it's because I forgot it like I usually forget everything else. This is pretty amazing. The Super Clean really did a nice job on it. I've never used it before, but I'm actually pretty impressed with the way it took the grease out. Even down on the lower support brace, where I thought we were going to have to go in and use the pressure washer, it cleaned it up real good. I'm going to let this sit for a minute. I'm going to air blow it next to clean the water and all out of here. I'm going to hit it with Super Clean again. I don't like putting the Super Clean or any kind of cleaning product in on top of the water so much because it just dilutes the power of the product. So we're going to go back in, whack it one more time with some Super Clean, get down here on the strut braces and the frame rails and see if we can clean that up a little bit better. And then I'm going to go in, I'm going to check and see if we can reuse these valve covers. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you what I like to do for cleaning up chrome. This has got a little bit of soft rust on it. It's not too bad yet. So what I like to do is I'll get some Autosol, which is this product here. I use the Autosol all the time on any kind of polishing project I do. This stuff was really, really good. I ain't making a dime off of it, but I really like it. I'll put it on the steel wool, and I'll use them in combination to clean up the rust spots on the top of the valve covers, or whatever. I don't want to use, and I'm using a fairly stiff steel wool to knock the tops off of that rust. Keep in mind that this is a driver valve cover. I'm not going to worry about this thing for show chrome because when it was done originally, it wasn't show chrome. It's just a nice street system. Okay, I'm going to bump back to a 4.0 steel wool. By the way, I hate these things and they're going away. I got a better solution that is honestly a Ford solution. All right, now I'm going to go in with my rag, with a little bit of Autosol on it, and just do some wiping. I'm a little concerned because I see a dimple now in the valve cover right there, which tells me that one of two things: these valve covers are really short, or we've got a stud pushing out of the head. But that's a problem for another episode. You could leave it brushed out like that, or you can do the mean thing that I've done to people before. It's a great trick to play on your friends when you're going over to your friend's house and you've got some of this stuff in your pocket. Why you would, I don't know. But you say, I got this polish, it's really cool. I'm going to show you how it works. It's made by the Germans. They make good stuff. That's my last slap chop reference. 2 minutes, tops. And we've got it looking like this. Look at the other side of the tank and look at that, and you can see the difference you can make by doing just what I just did. Nothing more. You can use it on there, you can use it on the AC pump. I would probably then go in with a little bit of Gibbs oil on this because the Gibbs oil will keep it from molting up again. Same thing with any of my carburetor parts. I put a little bit of Gibbs oil on them, it works out. Or the valve covers, it's good stuff for that as well. Any fine machine oil will work, but I like the Gibbs a little bit better because it just does seem to hold up a little longer. It is incredibly hot out here. This is the, yeah, well that's me.
This is the dangerous part about doing
good
this.
looking. We got neighbors working on stuff in their yard, so just, you can't stop that. But this is really the dangerous part of it. Once you start doing something in these engine bays, a lot of times you just can't stop.
Yeah.
You keep going.
You make one shiny spot, you got to make sure everything else shines.
Yeah, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed with the Super Clean.
Yeah.
That worked out really well. It's just an off-the-shelf that we were sent by Super Clean. Hey, try this out and let us know what you think. I'll have to contact them and say, I think it's pretty darn good.
Good stuff.
I haven't run anything. You said gum out you like maybe a little bit better, but I mean...
Yeah, I like the gel stuff just because it's thick.
And it sticks, but
Yeah.
I mean this, I kind of like the fact that it grabs it and runs it down the firewall or wherever.
And this wasn't really big buildup either.
No, but it was enough.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's amazing, just a little bit that we've done already. Even the intake manifold looks pretty badass at this point, except for the
For the
problems.
welding and the grinding and the...
But what we're going to be coming back with next week is how we detail this thing out and complete it. This is the beginning of it, folks. This is where it starts. And this is what you have to do. You have to kind of go in and clean the engine bay, see what all you've got. This week, what we're going to be doing during the week as our final tip is what parts do we need to get this thing back to a driving condition? We've discovered our alternator is crapped out on it. Bad. We've discovered that we need an intake manifold on this one. We could probably get away with it, but I'm not sure why I would want to.
Yeah.
And something we would possibly have to do down the road, we might as well do it now while we're this far along.
Especially because you could see in the gasket where gas was leaking through because there isn't enough clamp force on the outside.
Exactly. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be coming back and possibly doing an intake. If you guys want to see the intake install, we've done one recently. You'll see it at the URL below me here. I really don't want to do an intake manifold on screen, so if you would just say no.
That'd be great. They're not really fun to do on camera.
It would help us do it in 20 minutes instead of 3 hours. So anyway, folks, do me a favor. Go out and check out our Patreon account. At the $10 a month level, you get monthly meetings with me on Zoom. And it's not just me pontificating. As a group, we sit together and we have a ball. I've got a couple of guys that weren't into it at first and then came on board and did it. And they're really sold out for it now. They really enjoy it. Another thing I'd like for you to do is please go out and subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll get notifications of everything we do. We're at 80,000 viewers at this point, or subscribers at this point. We're marching to 100. We want to get there. Have a lot of guys saying, why aren't you guys more than you are?
Because the algorithm.
Because the algorithm.
It's the man.
I don't understand. Some of the channels that do is like, why?
Why?
And I'm not saying anything bad about your channel. If you have a channel and you watch us, I'm not saying bad about you. I'm saying, what are we doing wrong?
Help us.
Help us. Tell people on your channel, if you're more successful than us, what we're doing right. And that's all, folks. The last thing I'm going to say is be kind to each other, be good to each other, love on each other. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time on AutoRestoMod.
This thing's getting really ugly.
It's just you. It's your reflection. Oh, and it's starting to rain.
If you couldn't tell.
Another reason we're cutting it short. Not short, because there's really nothing else we can do this week, but
Yeah.
we're stopping here today. Now.
Bye.
Bye.